Mustangs, new week, new music lesson. This week we're going to start a unit on music from the last 100 years. We're going to take it week by week and we'll do a different decade every week. So this week we're going to get started 100 years ago in the 1920s. Many people refer to this time as the Roaring 20s and others call it the Jazz Age. After the horrors of the First World War, young people saw the world differently than their elders. New music, new dances, and new art forms popped up. The ability to record music electronically on gramophones made it possible for many people to purchase records to listen to at home. In addition, radio broadcasts that had been dedicated to news in the past began playing music more regularly. This explosion in the way people could listen to music helped spur one of the greatest explosions of music creation in the modern times. New music styles in the 1920s included dance bands, jazz, and Broadway music. Dance bands became popular as they traveled the country and played in hotel ballrooms. Young people would come and dance late into the night. Many of the new dances were considered scandalous for how quick the steps were and how close the men and women danced together. The 1920s were also the golden age of Broadway. More people went to see plays on Broadway than ever before or ever since. Composers like Irving Berlin, Cole Porter, and George and Ira Gershwin began long and rich histories, eventually also writing music for movies once the era of silent films ended. More on that later. The 1920s gave rise to another new style of music that absolutely shocked the musical world: jazz. Jazz has its roots in African American communities in New Orleans and is related to the blues and to ragtime. After World War I, many musicians from New Orleans migrated to New York and Chicago and quickly popularized this new sound. New music led to new dance styles like the Charleston. Players like Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Cab Calloway, and Bessie Smith became household names. The 1920s are as famous for music as they are for style. Flappers and dapper dans dressed in new ways. Some women even cut their hair very short. And when they went out, they danced the night away. Here's a quick montage of many of the styles of dance popular in the 1920s. Notice how shocked the older people in the audience are.
This dance.
Another big change that happened in this decade is when movies went from silent to talkies. Before around 1927, movies had no sound at all. Usually a piano player or an orchestra in a larger city would play background music live in the individual theaters, and anything actors had to say would be expressed in cue cards on the screen. Eventually, technology improved, and movies could be produced with sound, both dialogue from actors and also background music and sound effects. Now that you're all experts in music from the 20s, I have a couple of optional extra credit assignments you can do. First, learn a dance from the 1920s. I've created a YouTube playlist that includes a dance tutorial on how to learn the Charleston. Take some time, learn it yourself, and if you're feeling brave, send me a video. Next, this is one we've done in class and most of you love it. Make me sounds for a video. In the same Roaring Twenties playlist, I uploaded some classic comedy scenes by a famous pair of actors called Laurel and Hardy. They got their start in the 1920s and are considered classic comedy today. Pick one, or more if you like, of these movies and add sound effects and dialogue of your own. Make a new version of the video. You can download the videos from Google Drive, I've shared the files to you, and record your own sounds in iMovie or other software, or you can just play the video on a computer while recording the screen with a phone or other device and make sounds in the background while you're playing the video. Once you've got your finished project, share it! Third, listen to one of my favorite pieces of music ever written, George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. This piece is the perfect mashup of jazz and classical music. It starts with a clarinet solo that goes from really, really low up to really high in a sliding style called a glissando that ends up sounding almost like a siren, and it just keeps getting better from there. You can enjoy this a few ways. If you have Disney Plus, it's in Fantasia 2000. It's the vignette with a little girl who wants to spend time with her parents. Or you can go to my Roaring Twenties YouTube playlist to see several versions. The first is the Fantasia version, the second is the Fantasia version with a piano player accompanying live, or, number 3, you can watch an orchestral performance by the New York Philharmonic conducted by the great Leonard Bernstein, who also doubles as the piano soloist. Finally, you all know how much I love musicals. 2 of my favorites are set in the 1920s. Singin' in the Rain is a classic movie about the golden age of Broadway and the transition from silent films to talkies. Also, Thoroughly Modern Millie, starring Julie Andrews, who played Fräulein Maria in The Sound of Music, is another movie set in the 1920s. This madcap caper follows a young woman moving to the big city in 1922 and trying to become a modern woman. Zaniness ensues. Thoroughly Modern Millie was recently updated on Broadway, but there are no movie releases of that theatrical production. Yet. Thoroughly Modern Millie is not currently available to stream, I'm sorry to say, but if you can track down a copy, it's worth your while. I miss you, and as much as I love making these videos for you, teaching you in person is much more fun. Let me know how your projects go and what you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see and hear what you came up with. See you soon.